Hi, and welcome to another edition of Better Golfer Today. Thanks for tuning in. We have another wonderful show planned for you all today. This week's main topic is going to be on how to make the most out of your practice time. As always, I'll be sharing what I'm working on, and this week's tip of the week is going to be on chipping. So let's get started. Alright, the main topic. So this week is going to be on getting the most out of your practice time. What should you do? How should you practice? What should be your goals? To be honest, it depends on what you want or need the most help with. If you are wanting to improve your short game, then there will be specific things in that department to work on. And if you're wanting to improve your long game, focus on a specific area first. Now, before I go any further, there is something that I'd recommend doing first. And that is, you need to have a baseline to work off of. You need to know, not think you know, what needs work, and you need to have a place to start from. And what I mean by that is, if you need to improve your approach shots from a certain distance, you need to know how often you hit the green from that distance to start. And if you want to work short game, you need to know how proficient you are for certain chip shots so you know what to work on. You need to know what types of chips you commonly face on your home golf course. If you think about it, it makes perfect sense, right? Practice what you will see all the time. Don't worry about the stuff you never see. So if your course doesn't have any rough, why would you practice chip shots from the rough? Right? I mean, are you going to play the US Open in a couple weeks? Maybe. Like, if you're the one guy that has a home course that has no rough and he's going to play the US Open, then yeah, go find some rough. But like, if you are going to be playing your home course all summer long, why would you practice at a rough? Like, makes no sense. So, now that we've talked about that, let's move on, right? So, we talked about what to practice and what you should be focusing on. Let's switch gears and talk a little bit more about how to get more out of your practice. So, we established that you have a baseline of where you are, and you know what types of shots you experience the most when you play. You're going to want to practice the shots that mean the most to your scores. Alright, does that make sense? So you're going to want to practice the shots that help you shoot the lowest scores. And you're going to want to practice the shots that contribute to you shooting higher scores. Right? I mean, so if you're shooting high scores, you want to look and say, hey, what am I screwing up to shoot these high scores? And if you're hitting good shots, and you say, hey, I hit some good shots here, and I had a couple easy pars, and I rolled one in for a birdie. What went into making that birdie? And don't be thinking, well, I made a 15-footer for birdie. Okay, well, that's one stroke. You need to look at the approach shot, and maybe the tee shot that led into that. Like, where did your tee shot go? Was it on the left side of the fairway? Was it on the right side of the fairway? Was it in the center of the fairway? What yardage did you have into the green? How far did you hit your tee shot to get you that yardage? So if you had 150 yards into the green and you pulled out an 8-iron, you stuck it to 12 feet and you rolled that in for birdie, did you hit a good tee shot with the driver? Or did you hit a bad tee shot with the driver? Because maybe you hit a bad tee shot with the driver and it went 250. But the next time you go out and play, you hit a good shot with the driver and it goes to 130. And so you hit it 270. But 270 left you that 130-yard distance, and you're no good from 130 yards. So you missed the green and didn't get up and down and made bogey. Is that a short game issue? Is that an approach shot issue? Or is that a tee shot issue? These are the things you need to start thinking about. And these are the things that that I know a lot of golfers don't process. And this is a lot of stuff that I've been processing all summer long. I'm trying to figure out, hey, like, what's going into my rounds? Okay, like where am I picking up shots? What am I doing well compared to other golfers that are in similar that are like similar to my ability? And so again, I've been analyzing a lot of data, and so when I go out and play golf, number one, I keep track of the score of the hole. Number two, I keep track of what club I hit off the tee. Number three, I keep track of where that tee shot went. Number four, I keep track of how far that tee shot went. Number five, I keep track of what club I hit into the green. Number 6 or 7, whatever the hell I'm at. I keep track of the yardage I have. I keep track of how far away from the pin that ball went, and I keep track of how far my next putt is on every hole. Every single hole. It's a lot of data. It's a lot of data to collect, and I am getting a lot of data in return as I start to put this stuff all together. I'm seeing what yardages I do good at. I'm seeing what yardages I don't do good at. I'm seeing where my strengths off the tee lie. Okay, I'm seeing the holes that I tend to play better. I'm seeing things a whole lot clearer now. And I'm realizing that if I'm no good from a certain yardage, why would I hit it to that yardage from the fairway? If I'm no good from a certain spot in the fairway, why would I hit it to that spot in the fairway? I realized that, like, if a pin's over on this side of the green, and I score better over there, why would I ever try and fire at a pin on the other side of the green if I don't score good over there? Or if my miss is a certain way, why don't I just play more of that miss on the holes, on the yardages that I struggle with more, right? So does that make sense? And so, like I said before, we've established that you have a baseline. You want to establish that you have a baseline, and you want to know what shots you experience the most and why you experience those shots. And you want to make sure you get certain yardages you excel at. And you want to start working the ball one way or the other and figure out certain clubs that you use the best. The data's not going to lie. If you think your 8-iron is your best club in your bag, however, when you play golf, your 8-iron never gets you any birdies. It's not the best club in your bag. Okay? The best club in your bag is going to be the club that gets you the closest to the hole more often. And so that may be a sand wedge. But if your 8-iron isn't getting you birdies, it's definitely not the 8-iron. Okay? And so now there are two ways to practice. You can be results oriented, or you can work on getting the club into better positions during the swing and work on your fundamentals. So you can either be, I care about where the golf ball is going and where it ended up, or you can be on, I need to look better while swinging so that part will help get the ball going into a better place. Okay? So there's two ways to practice, okay? And so if you're results oriented, that's going to be more of a practice session where, hey, you're working on hitting more greens. Okay, so you're working on curving the ball, one way or the other to get the ball on the green, on the target greens that you're practicing. Or when you're chipping, you're working on getting that ball close to the hole. And you're just trying to figure out a way to get the ball close to the hole, whether it's a certain type of chip shot or whatever, or getting the ball higher or lower. Whatever you got to do to get the ball close to the hole, that's what you're working on when you're results oriented. If you're working on getting the club in better positions, you're working on your fundamentals. You're trying to get the club, if you take the club too far inside, you're working on getting the club a little bit more outside. Or if you take the club too far outside, you're working on getting the club more inside. And so, these are the things you work on. So typically, most players work on both. But you just need to know what you're going to do when you practice. And you want to just have a plan in place for, the work that you're doing. Because if you try to do too much of one and not enough of the other, you're going to get into a crummy spot. It doesn't matter which one you do too much of, you're going to get in a crummy spot. Because if you're only focused on where the ball ends up, you can get into some crummy swing habits that are no good. And they may work out good for you right now, but later on, it's going to be a big big problem for you. So when I tell you this, like I'm telling you this from experience. So this is why. Let me tell you. Let me explain this. So I got into a rut when I was practicing, and I was working exclusively on getting the club in better positions and not focusing on the results end of it, not focusing on trying to score. So I was working hour after hour after hour, day after day after day, trying to get the club in better positions. And I kept on working on it and working on it and working on it. And every day I'd find something new to work on. I'd be like, okay, I got this down. All right, well, I don't like where this is at. So I started working on that. And then I got that down. I was like, all right, well, this is no good either. And so I started working on that technique and this technique and that technique. And then I'd go work on my chipping and I'd be like, oh, man, I'm just trying to get this club to feel differently through the turf. So I was working on that. And then I get that down. I get that feeling down. I'm like, yeah, it's great. Now I got to start working on this technique and working on this and this. And then I go out and play and I'd be like, oh, I got all this stuff down. Like my techniques are great. And the first hole, you get thrown a curveball because that's golf. And instead of practicing how to hit shots, I could only replicate how to get the club in good positions. And that doesn't always matter. And so I fell into a rut and I didn't get any better. And I don't want anybody else to make that same mistake. And so that's why I'm sharing with you. Like, don't do that. Don't focus exclusively on technique. Focus on technique a little bit to try and help you get the results that you want. And if you're not getting the results that you want with that technique, then maybe that technique isn't what's holding you back. Okay? Make sense? So far we've talked about, chipping and your approach shots. Let's move into some tee shots, okay? First things first. You wanna practice that shot. Okay? You want to be able to practice the shot that you're trying to practice off the tee. Whether you're trying to curve the ball one way or the other, hit it higher, hit it lower. You want to be able to do that. And so when you go out and practice working the ball. Now, some of you out there may have a certain ball flight that you hit exclusively. And let me just say that that's fine. And for you, this isn't going to be too much of a problem. But when you're working on curving the ball, hitting it higher and lower, you also want to be working on a go-to shot for yourself. Because you're going to have a preference of one of those ball flights, okay? And that preference is going to be your go-to shot. And so work on that go-to shot. Work on it a lot. Work on it more than any other shot off the tee. I would say if you're going to practice your tee shots, 75% of them should be that go-to shot. Okay, you're at the driving range, you're hitting drives. If you're going to hit 10 tee shots, 7 to 8 of them should be that ball flight, and a couple should be something else. Notice I said something else, not the opposite ball flight, obviously. I mean, it could be whatever ball flight you want to work on, but 7 to 8 of those shots should be your go-to shot. Let's talk about putting. What should you work on with your putting? The best drills that I find are the circle drill, the ruler drill, the gate drill, and a putting arc. Those are the best things that I find to work on with your putting. The circle drill works on making putts, results. The ruler drill works on making putts, results. The gate drill works on making putts, results. The putting arc works on your technique. So for those drills, 3 of them are work on and focus on results. And so yeah, again, that's about all I have for you with this week's main topic. Again, I wanted to share the story of the rut that I got into and how bad it was for me and how stupid it was for me to fall into that rut. And I was really, really dumb to make that mistake. And I see people make that mistake a lot. And I think it's stupid. So don't make that mistake. Don't get into that rut. Don't worry about practicing technique after technique after technique. Focus on scoring. Focus on getting the ball in the hole. Focus on being more efficient when you're out there. I was working on being more efficient. Being more efficient with my golf swing. Yeah, that's stupid, okay? Work on being more efficient with your score. Okay? That's what's important. Work on scoring. Work on when you get out to the golf course. Doesn't matter what that lie is. What matters is getting that ball close to the hole. Or getting that ball in position to get up and down. That's what matters. Okay? So focus on scoring better. That's what matters. So let's move on to what I'm working on. Currently, I'm still working on getting my shoulders steeper at impact. Okay, that's the little technique I'm working on. Since I'm recording this, it is the off season. I'm working on getting chip shots better. So working on scoring or working on getting those close to the hole. I'm working on getting my green side bunker shots closer to the hole because those stink. And I'm working on making more putts inside 12 feet. Those are the things that I'm working on. So one technique, and the rest is all results oriented. This week's tip of the week, again, it's going to be on chipping. And since the main topic was on getting the most out of your practice, this is going to be specifically on your chipping practice. When you're working on your chipping, only spend time on the shots you see often. And when you are practicing, focus on getting shots closer to the hole with the exact shot you're trying to hit. When you practice, you want to make sure you're doing everything exactly the way you want to do it, and you are getting the results you want. Okay? So you want to have a clear picture in your head. Hey, I'm going to hit this high, I want it to land and do this, and then settle right next to the hole. That's what you want to do. That's how specific you want your practice to be with your short game. And if you aren't getting that result, then you have stuff to work on, right? So that's what you should be doing. And that's all we have for you this week. Thank you so much for tuning in and for staying tuned in, for everyone that listened to the end. I always like putting these together, and I look forward to recording more episodes in the near future. So, again, thank you for being here. Please learn from my mistakes. Learn from the mistakes of others, okay? Golf is hard enough as it is. Don't make it any harder. Learn from the people that have come before you. So, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you later.